Hey there, Blazer fans, and welcome to episode 27 of The Dragon's Den, a podcast for those that bleed green and gold. Today we have another great from UAB football, Mr. Parker Mullins. Parker and I share a lot of great stories, so I won't keep you guys waiting. Stick around until the end for another This Week in Blazer History segment. Thanks for listening. All right, Blazer fans, I've got my guest here for episode 27 of The Dragon's Den, a former punter and place kicker for the Blazers from 2003 to 2006. Mr. Parker Mullins. Parker, how are you doing today?
Man, doing good. I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, definitely. It's an honor. You were a big part in the Blazer special teams back in the mid 2000s. Just to get to my listeners reacquainted with you, before you got to UAB, you attended Starkville High School or Starkville Academy in Starkville, Mississippi, and you played punter and wide receiver for the school's team, and you were named 4A Athlete of the Year and also most valuable wide receiver for the North 4A in 2002 at Starkville Academy. You also participated in baseball and basketball. What made you come to UAB? What schools were recruiting you? And, what ultimately made you come to UAB?
Right. So I grew up in Starkville, Mississippi, college town, SEC school. Always wanted to go to Mississippi State my whole life growing up, but I kind of got my eyes opened up to all the other options at the Auburn kicking camp. Actually, it was a woman that ran the program, and down there was that's where all the kickers came from all across the country, and all the collegiate kickers came to coach it. So you met a lot of contacts, you got to socialize and get to know everybody, and that's where I got my eyes open to other schools because all of their recruiters were down there. And I went my 10th, 11th, and 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year, and that's really when I knew that I could go somewhere else besides Mississippi State because Jackie Sherrill was a coach there, so I wanted to go there, obviously. But man, when I sent my tape out to everybody, I got responses back from Vanderbilt, of course, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss, Memphis, Southern Miss, schools like that. And really, I was kind of honed in on Vanderbilt there for a little while. I'm not real sure why, but I did that, and then I got a call from Coach Crow, who wanted to have me over to come meet Watson Brown in the spring game and all that one year. And man, we sat down with Watson Brown and talked for 45 minutes with my family. And it was pretty clear that it was just kind of night and day from all the other conversations that we had that I needed to go to UAB. Now, when I left there, I didn't know that I really wanted to go to UAB because I'm from Starkville, I don't want to leave all my friends and stuff like that. But we sat down and we talked about it, and my dad put several different scenarios in it. Just so happened that UAB's punter, Ross Stewart, was going to be a senior the next year. And, Coach Brown told me I could come dress out, and travel with the team. And if Ross got hurt, I'd go in. But if not, I would redshirt. So it seemed like a really good fit. Timing is a lot of the issue when you go with kickers and stuff, since there's really not a whole lot of them. But it was a great fit. 2 hours from home was far enough, but close enough to come back and get a meal maybe on a Sunday after a game. But anyway, I just kind of Watson Brown sealed the deal. It was night and day. And the coaching staff, Christopher, there's some Pat Sullivan. We had some awesome coaches back in the day. It was our class coming in at UAB in 02. We had an awesome group, and we're still bonded to this day. So. There's no looking back on that decision.
That's awesome. I mentioned that you played wide receiver in high school as well. Were you ever considered for, a wide receiver at UAB, or was it pure kicker, or were you ever recruited as a wide receiver too?
Yeah, I got recruited as a wide receiver. Really, kicking was kind of secondary. Being at an academy, we played both sides of the ball, played defensive back too. We also played basketball and baseball. We just went from one sport to the next, which I think is good for an athlete, to prepare for college instead of honing in on one sport. Yeah, I was just a short, good possession receiver in academy ball. Actually, when I got to UAB, we talked about I was going to play baseball too, but Coach Brown wanted me to hone in the first year on football, which kind of Coach Giangrosso. I kind of wish I would have gone back and done that and played baseball too. But Coach Brown didn't want me to do that. He wanted me to hone in on football. But my first year redshirting, I played scout team DB. So I got in some action on my redshirt year. They put me in there. But we couldn't really hit the receivers or nothing like that. It was fun versus the next 4 years being away from everybody else during practice.
Okay, well, you redshirted in 2002. but you got into the starting punter role in 2003, and you ranked number 5 in Conference USA in punting average. You guys were a few points shy of a bowl bid in 2003, but how did you feel starting off your college career on the right foot personally?
It was a great start. First game was at Baylor. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I didn't know how it would turn out or whatnot. But after that first punt, I think it was like 54 yards or something like that. My nerves calmed down, and we had a really good season. We had a good team. We were a little young. We had Hackney. We still had Roddy. We had a defense that was awesome with Zach Woodfin, Nigel Eldridge, Galen Black. Those 3 linebackers they were something else. But yeah, we finished short that year, but we did have a good year. We built a lot of momentum to open up that 04 season, which turned out to be our best season that I was there.
So you mentioned 2004. In 2004, you had a great year. One of the most notable games from that season is when you went back to your hometown and you faced the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Absolutely. That was marked on the schedule early. As soon as we, I think it was a home series for Mississippi State that we signed the contract. But yeah, that game was marked for sure. It was a true homecoming for me.
So what was that game like for you playing in your hometown, but for UAB?
Man, it was the juices were flowing, a little extra energy. It was fun to play in front of a lot of my family and friends. And then I had some good family members. My parents came to every game at UAB, home and away. But playing in front of everybody else that didn't really, travel to UAB just to come watch a Blazer game, it was fun. There were several players on the Mississippi State team that I grew up with and played ball against in high school. So it was a lot of fun. And we came out on the victorious end after, I think it was the fourth quarter, about 7 minutes left. Reggie took a punt back and pretty much sealed the deal. 27-13, I think, was the final score. But yes, that was very sweet. One of my best friends that was the leading receiver for Mississippi State that year, Will Prosser, he wouldn't even stay on the field after the game to shake my hand. So I knew we had done something good. But that was an awesome feeling, man. After that game, we were 5-1, heading to, I think, New Orleans the next week. And man, we were on top of the world. Talking about breaking the top 25. We had a great team. Had the leading receiver in the country at Roddy. And I'm telling you, Daryl Hackney was one heck of a quarterback.
Well, you mentioned New Orleans. You guys traveled to Tulane and you lost in a shootout 59-55. That game kind of came down to a special teams error. It wasn't on your part, but it was a muffed punt. What do you remember from that game specifically?
That game, oh man, I think it was almost 1,200 yards of total offense that game. Ricard for Tulane was battling Hackney. And it was back and forth. Actually, I think I made a tackle that game. I only punted twice because I think we scored a touchdown every other possession. 2 field goals, I think. But yeah, we muffed a punt in the fourth quarter. I think Reggie dropped it, and catching punts is tough, and Reggie was a stud, So it happens. It just happened at a bad time, during that game. We could have made a few more stops before that, but man, that really kind of knocked the wheel off of our. We were 5-1, I think, at that game, right? So that made us 5-2 going to South Florida, I believe, after that. And it kind of knocked a couple wheels off, kind of deflated our tires a little bit, and it took us a couple weeks to get back to playing as good as we were before that game.
Yeah, you guys came back and you played South Florida, and it was the monsoon game. That was when I talked with Daryl Hackney about for a while. But you guys did, like you said, you did manage to get a kind of a win streak going, and then you fell at Southern Miss to finish the regular season, but you were good enough to earn a bowl bid. You went to the Hawaii Bowl. What are some stories that you have from that trip?
Man, that was the best trip. I'm telling you, if you're not going to go to I guess it's the BCS bowls now or the playoff. Hawaii is the best bowl game out there. 7 nights. I think it was maybe even 8 nights or 8 days, 7 nights, something like that. But man, it was unbelievable. Put in a lot of hard work those last couple seasons. It all came to fruition right there in Hawaii. It was so much fun. We had a lot of fun. And I think that's kind of why the game didn't turn out our way. We were celebrating the whole time. Of course, we put in the practice. We would practice from 6 to 8:30 or something in the morning. And then they would turn us loose. And man, we had a good time. Nobody really got in trouble, but it was a great time. and playing in the Pro Bowl Stadium out there in Hawaii is
Mm-hmm.
something I'll never forget. Not many people get to do that, and I thought that was just really, really cool. Timmy Chang and was a quarterback for Hawaii. Chad Owens was his receiver. I don't know if you remember him, number 2. I think he was right behind Roddy that year in total yardage, receiving yardage, and he lit us up. He actually ran a punt back on me. I punted from the end zone one time, and I punted it about 59 yards, and it was about 10 yards too far. You can punt it too far, but he had about 15 yards of room, and that was the end of it. But man, what a game. That was an awesome game, back and forth. We just didn't come out on top, but we did put on a good show, and it represented University of Alabama Birmingham very well out there.
Well, UAB in 2005, you guys started the season off at number 2 Tennessee. I assume that was the largest crowd you had ever played in front of.
It was. I think we played at South Carolina against Lou Holtz, which is another thing that I like to tell people. I played against Lou Holtz. What a great dude! Awesome book he's got. But anyway. Yeah, it was definitely the largest crowd, and they were, like you said, they were right there, top. Were they second?
Yeah,
were they number two? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first game that I won it would be my 3rd year punting, but I won the field goal competition that fall, and because Nick Hayes graduated. What a great kicker Nick Hayes was. I mean, Nick Hayes was awesome. He taught me a lot about that field goal kicking, and I got to hold for him those first 2 years too. So, but yeah, I was nervous. That was probably one of my most nerve-wracking games. And I think it was the first quarter we finally drove down in the field goal range. And, man, I can remember backing up. It was 39 yards on the right hash. And, man, my nerves were kicking. I was shaking a little bit. But thank goodness I hit it right down the pipe. And, it was kind of like that first punt at Baylor. Once you get that first one under your belt, it was pretty good to go after that. So, we had it fourth down, and I think 4 or 7 or something like that inside the 10. Ran a quick slant, and Hackney throws a heater. He threw like 100-mile-an-hour fastball, quick slant to Lance Rhodes, Mr. Football in Alabama back in the day. And it just kind of went through his hands. But I mean, that wasn't the play that decided that game. But we knew after that game that we were a 23-point dog, I think, that game. So we weren't even supposed to be close. And we fought them to the very end. We knew we were going to have a pretty good team and have a good shot at bettering our record from last year and making another bowl game. But the season kind of missed Roddy that year. Kind of hard. We relied on Roddy for 2 or 3 years straight there, and we missed Roddy's production that year. I know Hackney did.
Yeah. Well, in 2005, you mentioned that you took over the place kicking responsibilities after Nick Hayes departed. What was it like to add that to your game along with punting?
It was I had kicked field goals in high school, but like I said, I was a receiver and DB in high school. I wasn't even thinking about kicking. It just kind of happened. But it's the preparation is a whole lot different. Being a kicker, you can't just go out there and kick for 3 hours straight. Your leg will fall off. But it was it was a learning process there the first couple of years. And since I didn't have to kick field goals during the game, I could work that out into practice on how much I should field goal and how much to punt or vice versa. And but it was fun. I'm used to getting out there on the field when I was just punting and holding field goals. It wasn't that much, but kicking the field goals is a whole different game, man. That's got to be one of the hardest positions out there because I mean you're either the hero or you're zero. I didn't have too many zero moments, but I did get to kick one field goal that I think it was 05 against Mississippi State it was 06, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 06. I think they came and made one with a minute left to send it to overtime, but that was pretty nerve-wracking too.
Well, one of your more notable games from that 2005 year was a 37-20 win at Memphis. You had one of your greatest games as a Blazer against the Tigers with 13 points. You had 3 field goals and 4 PATs. What do you remember from that game?
That was if I'm not mistaken, that was a Tuesday or Thursday night game on ESPN. D'Angelo Williams in the backfield for Memphis. Awesome pro. Steven Gostowski was the kicker for Memphis, and that kind of elevated my game because that dude, he's my age from Mississippi. We both went to Conference USA schools in college, so we kept up with each other. Of course, the story of him. He's I think he's still booting them through the uprights. But playing against Memphis was something we look forward to every year. It was Battle of the Bones. I think that kind of originated when we were coming through. But that game, that was a great game. We were always hyped for Memphis for whatever reason. That was kind of like we looked at them as our rival. That was definitely one of my better kicking games. But I was kind of elevated just because of Beavers, what we call him, Steven Gostowski, just going against that opposing kicker. We always looked at each other's stats, and you wanted to outdo your competition that day, and he was the best in the country at the time. We watched film on that guy kicking even after that game, just so we could improve our game. But those we started breaking into those midweek games on ESPN that 04 and 05 season. Man, that was really cool for us. Not having the games on Saturday like you can get them now, being a showcase during the midweek game was pretty cool. And I think we got some great exposure back then.
You guys came up just short of another bowl bid in 2005. You went 5-6. And you started the 2006 season with a controversial loss at number 5 Oklahoma, 24-17. And for those that don't remember, what made it controversial, UAB was down 7 with 6 minutes remaining. UAB punted to the Sooners. The return man tried to break away from a tackle and got the ball stripped, and UAB recovered, but the play was blown dead. Even though to me and my dad who were screaming at the television, he was still moving and he wasn't down. Parker, what do you recall from that play, and what happened from your point of view?
Oh, it still breaks my heart, kind of. That was the first game of the year, like you said, on TBS. We were on national television. I had played Adrian Peterson and his team so good the whole game. I got off a good punt. I had some good hang time. We had really good coverage. Mustaki Smith got down there first, I think, 41 for us. And I was getting close to the pile when it happened, but I could see the strip that Stocky stripped him. He had the ball out. We had another guy around his legs, and we heard the whistle blow. We knew the ball got out, and I think Jeff Hamby, our long snapper, picked it up, and he was going towards the end zone, and they blew it dead. And we're thinking, okay, now we've got replay. Yes, there's no doubt. We know he was standing straight up when he fumbled it. He wasn't down. And man, lo and behold, just like a lot of those other replays that you think are going to go the way that it's supposed to go, it went the other way. And I think they ended up calling it an inadvertent whistle, so they they couldn't use the replay at all anyway. So the guy who blew the whistle, it was over right when he blew it. We had some other shots in that game, but man, that kind of seemed to be the theme. We beat Mississippi State, but there were several games across my career at Georgia, at Florida State, or you name it. We won the Mississippi State one, but South Carolina, there were several games that we were in just to the end, and just couldn't pull it through. That was one of them.
Well, a few weeks later, Mississippi State traveled to Legion Field to face you guys. Unfortunately, the Blazers couldn't match the success from the 2004 win. You guys lost 16-10 in overtime, but you mentioned that you did get that field goal right at the end to force overtime. What was that loss like for you and the guys afterwards?
Like being from Starkville, like I was talking about earlier, that game was circled on my calendar for sure. And man, we gave them all they had. They had some studs on that team, even though Coach Kroom didn't really have too much success at State. They had some players, and I just remember when we went to overtime, our quarterback Chris, he got hit in the head that I think the series before that, and it kind of knocked him woozy, but he really didn't say anything. So I think that's what happened on our possession in overtime. And then Omar Connor, who was a guy from right down the road where I'm from, in Knoxville County, Mississippi, I think he took a third and their first drive of overtime, took a 3rd and 10 and took it all the way to the goal line, I believe. And that was pretty much all she wrote. But I mean, it was fun. I'm glad we got to play Mississippi State. I hate that I couldn't go 2-0 against them, because that would be a lot better today. But it was a lot of fun. And like I said, playing those SEC teams is great competition. It just like last week's game at Georgia, we got whooped up and down the field, but they put something in your head, when you play those games, even though we didn't play in it, we need to be at that level. And so that sets the bar for the team for the rest of the years to know how they need to play the rest of the year. So it's really good to play those SEC teams, win or loss. I mean, some people will say, losing's never good, but we learned some things from that game. But the rest of that season after that didn't really turn out the way we wanted to. It was a full speed downhill.
Yeah, you guys finished the year going 3-9, but you had 5 losses decided by one possession. How frustrating was it to end your college career with so many close chances and missing out on another bowl?
It was frustrating, and I'll take the blame on one of those. I think maybe it was '05, but I had a game winner at Marshall. I don't know if you remember this, and they iced me 3 times.
Yep.
It was a 47-yarder to begin with, and we got a false start or something happened. We got a 5-yard penalty back, and then they iced me 3 times. But I missed one of those. I think that was '05. But that was our style of ball. That was Watson Brown football. We controlled the clock. We controlled the ball. We took care of the ball, and we were in the game in the fourth quarter. We wanted to be in the game in the fourth quarter, and that was the kind of style that we played. Very physical football. We wanted to be the toughest team out there and run the ball a lot. So that kept us in a lot of those games. We just couldn't get over the hump. It was like we were snake bit. It was kind of like against Southern Miss my whole career. I think I was 0 for 5. Including my redshirt year, and we lost by 1, 2, 3 points. I think 6, maybe 1 year. But we beat Memphis every year in my career, and we lost to Southern Miss every year. So I mean, I would have traded a couple of those to beat Southern Miss 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus from some of the guys that I've had on from your era before. They were. I forget who it was off the top of my head, but he said it was kind of like a weird triangle. He said. Memphis always beat Southern Miss. UAB always beat Memphis, and Southern Miss always beat UAB. So it was just, it was random, So, what are some other games that you remember well that maybe don't get talked about in the record books?
One of the one of my favorite games was when we played South Florida, Raymond James Stadium. That was cool just to be in the locker rooms of a pro locker room, to see that big ship in the end zone. Man, that was awesome. And their fans were awesome too. We actually, I think one of those games, Nick made a field goal of 4, I think, to beat them. That was a cool one, but probably the best one of the whole career was the 2 trips to Army in West Point. Those are trips that everybody should be able to take. I mean, when we got lucky, they were both in the fall. Leaves were falling. We were on the Hudson River. Man, that Army trip was awesome. And it was one of those 2 games. It was, I think it was that game after Mississippi State. We beat Mississippi State, lost to Tulane, lost to South Florida, and I think we went to Army the next week or the next. We pulled one out of the hat, I think. I think we scored in the last minute to beat them. They hadn't won a game, I don't think, in I don't know how many years. It was a couple years, I think, and they had that place packed to the gill. It was slam packed, sold out. But the Army trip definitely was probably some of my favorites.
Okay. And you might have just answered it, but what was your favorite road environment that you played in? And if it's Mississippi State, what was your number 2?
It's just hard to beat. I love Raymond James and Auburn. I love the Tennessee, really. I would probably say Tennessee just because of the crowd, the interaction. And when I was growing up, I went to the '96 SEC championship, Mississippi State against Tennessee. And, man, that's when I kind of fell in love with college football. And because they had 80% of Tennessee fans were 80% of the Georgia Dome at the time. And they started singing Rocky Top when they went ahead in the late fourth quarter. And, man, that was something else. So, being at Tennessee, being my first game, kicking field goals and scoring points. And I think probably Neyland was probably number 2.
Okay. So, you, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you were a multi-sport athlete in high school. Which was your favorite sport to play?
Probably baseball, to be honest. I love playing baseball. Football was more fast-paced in high school. Of course, being a kicker and punter in college, it wasn't that fast-paced. But baseball was more kind of my speed. I really enjoyed baseball. If I could go back, I would, try to convince Watson Brown just one more time to let me go out, But I would say baseball and football, but baseball is probably my best number 1 sport. And it's still live over here in Starkville, so it's a pretty good town to like college baseball in.
Yeah, definitely. You played alongside some UAB's greats from that period. You've mentioned a couple of them already, but you played like Darrell Hackney, Roddy White, Swayze Waters, Dan Burks, Joe Webb, Sam Hunt, Corey White, Will Dunbar, Zach Woodfin. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. What was it like playing with these guys, and what are some of your best memories with them?
Man, playing with those guys, it was and all those are great athletes, but great leaders, probably number one. You know, it was we ran a tight ship. We had a lot of fun. That was one of the top things too. I mean, get your stuff done, but have fun doing it. But Zach Woodfin, like I said, Galen, Nigel, Dunbar, Dominique, Dan Burks, Curtis Filani, Lance Rose, Blake Prime, man, I could go on and on. Kyle Bissinger, Jermaine McElvain, man, we had some dogs back then. I don't think, you know, and a lot of people don't remember that those first couple of years we were in the Conference USA with Louisville, Cincinnati. Louisville went 11-1, I think, in 04, I believe, and they won the conference, and that was their last year, I believe. But man, we were in a tough league. You know, I think we started out 4-0 before we lost that. Were we 4-0 conference? Maybe not 4-0, but anyway, before we lost to Tulane, you know, I mean, we were right there with them. But it was a lot tougher conference back then. Yeah. But playing with all those guys, Roddy White, I mean, just going to his hotel room Friday night after supper, you know, and everybody else is goofing off. He's got his headphones in, reading the playbook, and I look back, I think about that all the time, thinking, man, that dude, he already knew he was getting right, you know. And but man, just teaches leadership, you know, just having that bond with 80, 100 guys every year. You can't duplicate that. And we all still stay in touch. And man, I'm telling you, we are all fired up about coming on October 2nd to see us put down Hugh Freeze and Liberty.
Well, that's awesome, man. You just gave me chills thinking about that.
Awesome.
Yeah. You've mentioned a couple of times that you wish you could go back and tell Watson Brown, you know, about baseball and everything, you know, go into it a little bit more. But if you could go back to 2006, right as you were ending at UAB, to tell yourself something, what would you tell your old self?
Oh, I mean, golly, I could do. You'd say, you know, I could go back and change this or that. Really wouldn't go back and change too much. Probably, I would probably try a little bit harder. You know, one of the things that kind of sticks with me is if I could go back to myself in 06, I tell myself to keep my head up and keep pushing, because when you go from that athlete and you're on a pedestal, you know, per se, for so many years, and then bam, you know, the athlete's gone, and now you're in the real world just like everybody else, and it's just totally different. It's a hard transfer out of that, you know. Not that everybody does everything for you or you're a college athlete, but I mean, it's just everything seems gone, you know, and those first couple of years are pretty tough. And I know the NCAA is looking at doing stuff to helping, you know, athletes pass their college years, but man, that's a critical period. And I kind of left college. I took a job in Texas, man, and just hit the trail selling sporting goods. And you know, if I could go back, I'd tell myself to try harder, you know, and make more relationships. But I mean, we did that. I don't really know what I would go back and say, you know, because we did it right. We did it the right way, and we had a good time doing it. And man, I'm telling you, we had a great group of guys.
Okay.
So, and I know we're all excited about the team now, and we're not even worried. We already took that baby to bed last week. You know, moving on to North Texas this week. So we'll see. Sir. We'll see how we respond.
Definitely. So, how is life now? What have you been up to since the UAB days?
Man, life's pretty good. Like I said, I moved to Texas for 4 or 5 years. Hit the road selling sporting goods. Had just a road life, you know. Moved back to Mississippi, and man, I've got an awesome 11-year-old boy. He goes to Heritage Academy. He's over here laughing at me now. I mean, he plays the baseball and football and basketball too. So we're loving that, traveling on the weekends and doing that. Opened up my own independent insurance agency here in Mississippi, Omega Insurance Group. So we're peddling insurance every day, you know, taking care of customers and saving people money. So just out in the business world, you know, I wanted to find something to kind of connect all my relationships. That's what this is all about. You know, college is about, life is about, it's making relationships and making them count, you know. And so I found the field that I could do that in, and being in insurance and taking care of people's needs and making sure that everything's okay. And event of a loss, it's a pretty good industry. So I'm enjoying myself. I'm over here in Columbus, Mississippi. I live in Starkville, so I make the trip across the 10-time every day. But man, I just think about our days in Birmingham. They were just so good, man. We had such a great group. And I mean, it's going to be one heck of a party coming in a couple of weeks. It's going to be so much fun.
So
we're going to have to take care of business too.
So how can my listeners engage with you now?
I piddle around on Facebook, Parker Mullins. I've got a website for my insurance, which nobody probably cares about here, insuredwithomega.com. And that's about it. Facebook's about the only social media that I really do. I'm not too big into it. I like face to face. So if any of the listeners out there ever make it want to come to a Mississippi State game, football, baseball, basketball, whatever, give me a shout. I'm over here and we'll definitely take care of you. And I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing from everybody and pulling the Blazers to a victory in a couple of weeks at the new stadium. Man, how awesome that is.
I do have one final question for you. It's a lighthearted question. You know, you mentioned your Facebook page. I went on your Facebook page and I did a little snooping, but I know you're a big Mississippi State fan, but I also know you're a big Atlanta Braves fan. So my question for you, would you rather have a Mississippi State football national championship victory or another Braves World Series title?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Man, I'm gonna have to, my son's telling me no, but I'm gonna have to go with the Braves. Man, I see the choppings back there.
Yeah.
Well, I followed the Braves since I was little bitty. Got a chance to go to the new stadium, man. It's awesome if anybody gets a chance to do that. Go do it. Me and my son went. What a heck of a memory we got. But yes, absolutely. I mean, we're kind of struggling right now. We're still about 8 games ahead of 500. We're going to win the pennant here in a week or so if we can handle the Giants this weekend. But Braves, another Braves championship would be awesome. I would definitely drive to Atlanta for that parade. Chop them, baby.
Well, Parker, man, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all your awesome stories, and thank you for all your contributions as a Blazer. I know Blazer faithful remember you fondly, and it's great to get to hear from you again. So thank you again for your time, and go Blazers.
Go Blazers, man. I appreciate you, Will. Thank you for all you do for UAB too, man.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, sir. All right. I want to thank Parker for sharing his side of UAB history with us. It was awesome getting to know him better, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Now we will move on to another segment of This Week in Blazer History, all stats and events gathered by longtime UAB fan Steve Rutherford. Since I missed last week due to some cancellations, I will still be picking up where we left off and adding next week since we're getting back on a normal schedule. So these are birthdays and UAB football games in history from September 4th through September 24th. First up, September 4th, some birthdays. Born in 1998, Tyreek Scott Grayson. Tyreek just finished up his basketball career at UAB and was a fantastic guard for the Blazers. Tyreek is using his extra year of eligibility and playing at Northeastern this upcoming season. Wishing him all the best and a happy belated birthday. Football games on September 4th. UAB is 0-2 all time on September 4th, with the first loss coming on a heartbreaking loss at Alabama State in 1994 by a score of 27-24. The other was another close heartbreaker, this time in 2005 in a loss to number 2 Tennessee 17-10. September 5th, no notable birthdays, but we do have a few football games. 1992, a game against Millsaps. The Blazers won 17-0. In 1998, the Blazers played at Nebraska and lost 38-7. In 2009, the Blazers broke the tiebreaker and beat Rice by a score of 44-24. On September 6th, we have one notable birthday. Born in 1975, Willie Mitchell, a forward for the men's basketball team in the late 1990s. Football games, UAB has been pretty unlucky on the state. In 1993, UAB played Troy State and lost 37-3. In 1997, the Blazers played at Memphis and lost 28-7. In 2008, the Blazers played at Florida Atlantic and lost 49-34. And then wrapping it all up, the Blazers played Mississippi State on the road in 2014 and lost 47-34. Blazers are 0-4 all time on September 6th. September 7th, again, no notable birthdays, but the Blazers have played 6 times on September 7th in football. The first one came in 1991 at Millsaps. Blazers lost 28-0. In 1996, the Blazers played at Maryland, losing 39-15. In 2000, the Blazers finally got a win over Chattanooga, winning 20-15. In 2002, the Blazers played Troy State and won 27-26. 2013, the Blazers played at LSU, losing 56-17. And then in 2019, the Blazers tied it up with a road win at Akron, 31-20. On September 8th, no notable birthdays, but 3 football games. Again, another unlucky date. The first 2 both came against Florida State. The first was in 2001, the second in 2007. In 2001, the Blazers lost 29-7, and in 2007, the Blazers lost to Florida State 34-24. The third came against Coastal Carolina on the road in 2018 in a 47-24 loss. On September 9th, there are 2 notable birthdays. Current UAB women's track and field runner Carly Stortz. Happy birthday, Carly. Also born on September 9th, UAB beach volleyball player Marty McLaurin. 3 football games on September 9th in UAB history. First came in 1995. The Blazers played Southwestern Louisiana, which is now Louisiana Lafayette. The Blazers lost 56-21. In 2006, the Blazers were able to get the record to 1-1 on September 9th with a heart-stopping final minute win over East Carolina, 17-12. And in 2017, the Blazers played at Ball State and lost 51-31. On September 10th, we do have a couple of birthdays. The first, born in 1986, Roderick Ollie, former UAB men's basketball player that played for the Blazers in the late 2000s. Born in 1994, Jamari Staples. Jamari was a great receiver for the Blazers in 2013 and 2014 and transferred to Louisville after the program was shut down. Happy birthday, Jamari. The Blazers have played 4 games in UAB football history on September 10th, all on the road. The first came in 1994 on the road at Dayton, winning 28-10. In 2005, the Blazers kept the winning streak going at Troy, 27-7. In 2011, the Blazers played at Florida, losing 39-0. And in 2020, last season, the Blazers played at Miami, losing 31-14. Several notable birthdays on September 11th. Born in 1971, Patrick Kraft, former UAB men's basketball forward in the early 90s. Born in 1984, Ernest Little, former men's basketball forward in the mid-2000s. Born in 1999, current UAB women's soccer midfielder Stella Kiss. Born in 2002, current UAB softball pitcher and infielder Olivia Balbach. Born in 1996, one of the recent UAB women's basketball greats, Deanna Kuzmanik. Deanna wrapped up her career in 2019, but had several accomplishments along the way and finished as the 12th highest scoring player in program history. Happy belated birthday, Deanna. Born in 2001, UAB beach volleyball player Pearl Moore. 4 UAB football games all time on September 11th. The first came in 1993 against Morehead State in a win 52-14. In 1999, the Blazers played the Virginia Tech Hokies on the road, losing 31-10. In 2010, the Blazers played at SMU, falling 28-7. And the most recent just came last weekend on the road at Georgia. The Blazers fell 56-7. September 12th, we do have one notable birthday. Born in 1959, Lex Drum, one of UAB's first big men on the basketball team in the early 80s, and a 7th-round draft pick by the Atlanta Hawks in 1983. 2 UAB football games on September 12th all time. The first came in 1992 in a win over Gallaudet, 44-6. The second came in 2009 against SMU in a heartbreaking 35-33 loss. September 13th, there are 2 notable birthdays. Born in 1988, former UAB football quarterback Brian Ellis. Brian had a great career with UAB and most notably completed the Hail Mary versus Troy in 2010. Brian is now the co-offensive coordinator at Western Kentucky. Also born in 1998, former UAB football offensive lineman Greg Calhoun. Happy birthday, Greg. 4 football games on September 13th all time. The first came in 1997 at Arizona. The Blazers fell to the Wildcats 24-10. In 2003, the Blazers played Troy State, falling 20-9. In 2008, the Blazers played at the Tennessee Volunteers and lost 35-3. And in 2014, the Blazers managed to stop the losing streak in a 41-14 win over Alabama A&M. September 14th, there are 3 notable birthdays. Born in 1974, Will Bailey, a guard for the men's basketball team in the late 90s. Born in 1998, current UAB women's soccer midfielder Lucy Thrasher. And also born on September 14th, current UAB baseball pitcher Tyler O'Clair. 3 football games all time on September 14th. The first came in 1991 against Evangel, UAB's first NCAA football game. The Blazers fell 28-10. In 1996, the Blazers played Arkansas State and won 42-17. And in 2002, the Blazers played the Pittsburgh Panthers, falling 26-20. September 15th, there are 4 notable birthdays. Born in 1972, Frank Haywood, my guest on episode 13 of the podcast and a former UAB men's basketball great. Happy birthday, Frank. Born in 1960, Mike Davis, former UAB men's basketball coach for 6 years. Happy birthday, Coach. Born in 1990, former UAB football center Billy Autry. And born in 1962, Pipo Marrero, one of the more interesting stories in UAB basketball history. If you've listened to the podcast, you know that Coach Gene Bartow was very superstitious, and Coach liked to start Pipo and then take him out not long after to keep the lucky streak going. Happy birthday, Pipo. 3 football games all time on September 15th. The first came in 2007 against Alcorn State, and they win 22-7. In 2012, the Blazers traveled to South Carolina and lost 49-6. In 2018, the Blazers got back on the win streak in a win over Tulane, 31-24. On September 16th, we have 3 notable birthdays. Born in 1969, Doug Turner, a UAB men's basketball center in the late 80s. Born in 1973, Travis Harper, a former forward for the men's basketball team in the mid-90s. Happy birthday, Travis. And the third birthday, Shane Carnes, UAB baseball great, one of the only 3 All-Americans in UAB baseball history, and my guest on episode 8 of the podcast. 4 football games all time on September 16th for UAB football. 1995, the Blazers played Jacksonville State, lost 28-26. In 2000, the Blazers played at Kansas, falling 23-20. In 2006, the Blazers played at Georgia, falling 34-0. And in 2017, the Blazers managed to get in the win column in a win over Coastal Carolina, 30-23. September 17th, born in 1976, Mark Kimbrough, former forward for the men's basketball team in the late 90s and early 2000s. Born in 2002, current UAB women's bowler, Jillian Hulsey. Happy birthday, Jillian. 3 football games on September 17th, all time for the Blazers. The first 2 came against Jacksonville State. The first in 1994, the Blazers played at home against Jacksonville State, falling 28-12. But in 2005, the Blazers welcomed the Jacksonville State Gamecocks again, this time winning 35-28. And in 2011, the Blazers played the Tulane Green Wave, falling 49-10. Born in September 18th, born in 1978, Ladrick Simon, another forward for the men's basketball team in the late 90s and early 2000s. Born in 1997, recent UAB baseball player Sylvester Toe, who just wrapped up his UAB career in 2020. Happy birthday, Sylvester. 3 football games all time on September 18th. The first came in 1993 at Western Kentucky. The Blazers fell 40-13. In 2004, the Blazers played the Florida State Seminoles, falling 34-7. And in 2010, the Blazers got a Hail Mary victory that I just mentioned a minute ago against the Troy Trojans, winning 34-33. September 19th, no notable birthdays, but 3 football games. 1992, the Blazers played Lane, winning 26-6. 1998, the Blazers played Tennessee Tech, winning 38-6. And in 2009, the Blazers played at Troy, falling 27-14. September 20th, 1 notable birthday, born in 1984, DeAndre Carroll, guard for the men's basketball team in the early 2000s. 3 football games. 1997, the Blazers played Jacksonville State and won 34-16. 2003, the Blazers traveled to South Carolina, falling 42-10. And in 2008, the Blazers played the Alabama State Hornets, winning 45-10. September 21st, 1 notable birthday, born in 1979, Eric Batchelor, a forward for the men's basketball team in the early 2000s. 5 football games on September 21st. First came in 1991 in a win at Washington and Lee, 34-16. 1996, the Blazers played the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, winning 24-17. 2002, the Blazers played Louisiana Lafayette, falling 34-0. In 2013, the Blazers played Northwestern State Demons, winning 52-28. And in 2019, the Blazers pounded the South Alabama Jaguars 35-3. September 22nd, no notable birthdays, but 2 football games. The first came in 2001 against Army, winning 55-3. And in 2012, the Blazers traveled to Ohio State, falling 29-15. September 23rd, 1 notable birthday, born in 1987, Mike Jones, a former 2-sport athlete that played basketball and football for the Blazers in the late 2000s. 4 football games all time for UAB on September 23rd. The first in 1995, the Blazers played at Western Kentucky, falling 32-18. In 2000, a win that put UAB on the map, a 13-10 win in Death Valley at LSU. In 2006, the Blazers played Mississippi State, falling 16-10 in overtime. And in 2017, a heartbreaking loss at North Texas, 46-43. And finally, September 24th, two notable birthdays. Born in 1980, Cedric Davis, forward for the men's basketball team in the early 2000s, and current UAB football inside linebacker Deshaun Oliver Jr. Happy birthday, Deshaun. And three football games on September 24th all time. 1994, the Blazers played at Kansas, falling 72-0. In 2011, the Blazers played at East Carolina, falling 28-23. But in 2020, the Blazers got in the win column with a win at South Alabama, 42-10. And that's going to do it for this week in Blazer history and episode 27 of the Dragon's Den. I hope you all enjoyed it. Best of luck to the Blazers this weekend at North Texas. Hopefully we will move to 2-1, but be sure to follow my social pages at Dragon's Den EFEL on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next time. Good night and go Blazers.